It was stunning. It was mind-blowing. After the biology questions, I had them type in, what do you say to a father with a sick child? And it gave this very careful, excellent answer that, was perhaps better than any of us in the room might have given. And so it was like, wow, what is it? What is the scope of this thing? Because this is way better.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Tech. I'm your host, Kevin Scott, Chief Technology Officer for Microsoft. In this podcast, we're going to get behind the tech. We'll talk with some of the people who have made our modern tech world possible and understand what motivated them to create what they did. So join me to maybe learn a little bit about the history of computing and get a few behind-the-scenes insights into what's happening today. Stick around. Hi, welcome to Behind the Tech. We have a great episode for you today with a really special guest, Bill Gates, who needs no introduction given the unbelievable impact that he's had on the world of technology and the world at large over the past several decades, has been working very closely with the teams at Microsoft and OpenAI over the past handful of months, helping us think through what the amazing revolution that we're experiencing right now in AI means for OpenAI, Microsoft, all of our stakeholders, and for the world at large. I've learned so much from my conversations that I've had with Bill over these past months that I thought it might be a great thing to share just a tiny little glimpse of those conversations with all of you listeners today. So with that, let's introduce Bill and get a great conversation started. Thank you so much for doing the show today. And I just wanted to jump right in with, maybe one of the more interesting things that's happened in the past few years in technology, which is GPT-4 and ChatGPT and the work that we've been doing together at Microsoft with OpenAI. By the time this podcast airs, OpenAI will have made their announcement to the world about GPT-4, but I want to sort of set the stage. The unveiling of the first instance of GPT-4 outside of OpenAI was actually to you last August at a dinner that you hosted with Reed and Sam Altman and Greg Brockman and Satya and a whole bunch of other folks. And the OpenAI folks had been very anxious about showing you this because your bar for AI had been really high. I think it had been really helpful, actually, the push that you had made on all of us for like what acceptable high ambition AI would look like. And so I wanted to ask you, what was that dinner like for you? What were your impressions? Like, what had you been thinking before? And, what, if anything, changed in your mind after you had seen GPT-4?
Yeah, so AI has always been, the holy grail of computer science. And, when I was young, Stanford Research had Shaky the robot that was trying to pick things up. And there were various logic systems that people were working on. So the dream was always some sort of reasoning capability. Overall progress in AI until machine learning came along was pretty modest. Even speech recognition was just, barely reasonable. And so we had that gigantic acceleration with machine learning, particularly in sort of sensory things, recognizing speech, recognizing pictures. And it was phenomenal. And it just, kept getting better, and scale was part of that. But we were still missing anything that had to do with complex logic, with being able to say, read a text and do what a human does, which is, quote, understand what's in that text. And so as Microsoft was doing more with OpenAI, I had a chance to go see them myself independently a number of times. And they were doing a lot of text generation. They had a little robot arm the early text generation still didn't seem to have a broad understanding, like it could generate a sentence saying Joe's in Chicago and then 2 sentences later say Joe's in Seattle, which in its local probabilistic sense, is a good sentence, but, a human has a broad understanding of the world from both experience and reading that you understand that can't be. And so as they were enthusing about GPT-3 and even the early versions of GPT-4, I said to them, hey, if you can pass an advanced placement biology exam where you take a question that's not part of the training set or a bunch of them and give fully reasoned answers, knowing that biology textbook is one of many things that's in that training corpus, then you will really get my attention, because that would be a heck of a milestone. And so, please work on that. I thought, they'd go away for 2 or 3 years, because my intuition has always been that we needed to understand knowledge representation and symbolic reasoning in a more explicit way, so that we were 1 or 2 inventions short of something where it was very good at reading and writing and therefore being an assistant. And so it was amazing that, you and Greg and Sam over the summer were saying, it might not be that long before we want to come demo this thing to you, because it's actually doing pretty well on scientific learning. And in August, they said, yeah, let's schedule this thing. And so in early September, we had a pretty large group over to my house for a dinner. I think maybe 30 people in total, including a lot of the amazing OpenAI people, but a good-sized group from Microsoft. Satya was there, and they gave it AP biology questions and let me give it AP biology questions. And with one exception, it did a super good job. And the exception had to do with math, which we can get to that later. But it was stunning. It was mind-blowing. After the biology questions, I had them type in, what do you say to a father with a sick child? And it gave this very careful, excellent answer that, was perhaps better than any of us in the room might have given. And so it's like, wow, what is it? What is the scope of this thing? Because this is way better. And, then the rest of the night, we, ask it historical questions about, are there criticisms of Churchill, or different things? And it was just fascinating. And then over the next few months, as I was given an account, and Saul Kahn got one of those early accounts, the idea that you could have it write college applications or, rewrite, say, the Declaration of Independence the way a famous person like Donald Trump might have written it. And it was so capable of writing, writing poems, give it a tune like Hey Jude and tell it, to write about that, tell it to take a Ted Lasso episode and include the following things. Anyway, ever since that day in September, I've said, wow, this is a fundamental change, not without some things that still need to be worked out, but it is a fundamental advance. And it's confusing people in terms of, well, it can't yet do this, it can't do that, it's not perfect at this or that. But hey, natural language is now the primary interface that we're going to use to describe things, even to computers. And so it's a huge, huge advance.